What's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. And today we're taking a look at the cryptocurrency market, and it feels like it's been 84 years of going sideways. My gosh, I feel your pain. I have the same pain every day. I wake up, look at my phone right when I wake up. I'm like, what's it going to be like today? And flat. So I've just been trying to peek around at the market and say, why are we still flat? Are there things that are happening here in Bitcoin that maybe we've seen elsewhere before? And well, there's a lot of people who watch this channel who remember the days of 22.5 cent XRP. Who remember this wonderful, lovely chart where we spent 90 days talking about 22.5 cents and looking for the market to reverse on itself and for the prices to start going up, and how long we got stuck in here for XRP. It was absolutely brutal. You could see the big pullback. There was no big, huge like V pop out of there. While it did reverse there, it took a long time for it to reverse. And we were looking for 22.5 cents to come in. We ended up getting down to just right to 21.922. And sure enough, it did find its bottom right there. But what was the worst part about it is that it still went sideways for another month and a half before it finally started grinding its way back up. Totally brutal. Reminds me a lot of what's happening here with Bitcoin right now and what's happening with the rest of the market, because we're not seeing anything crazy happening throughout the altcoin market either, right? Everything is relatively flat. I know on the side of the screen over here, you see 2, 3, 4%. Tomorrow we'll see 2, 3, 4% the opposite way. But in the end, there's nothing really going through major breakouts or major breakdowns at this point. Just really boring price action. But in the last few days, it presented the case that, you know what, we have the ABC correction coming in here. It did a retrace on wave B to a 702 Fibonacci retracement before going on to do wave C. And we could see how it did do that retracement right there. I'll line these up just right. And you can see how he pinpoint nailed the 702 retracement before heading on down for C leg. We haven't seen this type of ABC correction or this level of fear in the market since way back in here, where we did the same thing, where Bitcoin did a B, C correction, and at the same time the B wave came in for a 702 retrace before moving down to the downside. And we can see even in this circumstance, it was incredibly drawn out recovery before going on for a massive surge to the upside. You can even see that over there in the fear and greed index, that we went from greed, boom, straight into fear and stayed there for a while before finally recovering in November back into greed. Same thing happening here, just kind of hanging out in greed and then boom, right down into fear. But boring, slow, a grind, not convincing, right? Most market participants were not convinced that it was reversing right in here. Most people thought we were actually going to continue to do one of these things again, and that all we had done really at that point right there was that we had only done that much of the fall, and that it was actually going to do it all over again, and it was just the beginning of the terror. Kind of a lot like what's going on in the market right now for Bitcoin, people believing that, this is just the beginning of the terror. We're absolutely in a bear market at this point, which I'm not convinced of. But in essence, we've seen two of these major ABC corrections come in with the 702 retracements. We have one right there, and we have one right here. But in this recovery, we're having incredibly boring, consolidating price action for a recovery, same as we had back in here. But I'm trying to tie this back into XRP when we went through that really long, prolonged period where XRP's price pulled back to 22.5 cents and then still continued to go sideways for a long time after that. And the interesting thing about this, when this all occurred, is we can look at the dates of when it happened. It happened from August through September, through October to November, then finally broke out. August, September, October, November. When was the last time Bitcoin had that big ABC correction? That was right back here in August, September, and October. And then in November, big breakout. So we saw XRP do this style of a bottoming process, really rounded out bottom. And then you have to ask yourself, Bitcoin, are you doing something similar, right? We know that XRP did its retracement up in here. We could see that retracement happening right there, then going on to complete the C leg. We can see that happening for Bitcoin up in here, having its retracement, then going on to complete its C leg, and then boom, brutal, reduced volatility, sideways, prolonged period down here. And the sentiment was really brutal for XRP down in there. But anyway, way back in here, August, September, October of last year, when we went down and then we just went sideways for such a long time, it was just accumulation that happened right down there at the bottom for the longest time period. And well, it just looks like that's something like we're doing over here for Bitcoin. I see a different setup over there in the altcoin market cap, but I can clearly see similarities going on here for Bitcoin versus XRP during that time period. I remember during that time period, I did not expect that we were going to go sideways for that long down there. It just kept going and going and going and going. And well, if I had to make my best educated guess on where Bitcoin is right in here, I would say that it's likely somewhere like right there if it was doing the same thing. I don't have very many references to go back to for this style of accumulation at these lows like this outside of really XRP and what we've seen happen with XRP in the past. It's kind of been a nice little reference to go back to, which is why you guys may notice a lot of times, even if we're talking about primarily about XRP in a video, that I'll pop over to different charts to show different things because it really helps me to have a full understanding of the market and have a lot more charts to look back at and to reference to. But one of the things why this is interesting to me is, like I mentioned earlier, is that we're not seeing anything really happening over there on the altcoin market, right? We're not seeing anything indicating that this market is ready to pop to the upside. We're not seeing anything indicating that this market is ready to break down. Now, from a technical standpoint and a structure standpoint over there on the altcoin market cap, it looks great. It looks ready to go. This is a common structure I can find dozens of references to where it just goes straight up just like that, right up into the retracement level from right where we're at right now. But we haven't seen anything do it yet. Like if we saw like Tron or something going really crazy and kind of leading the way, and we also saw something like even Cardano or something making some big push to the upside and giving some type of indicator that the market was ready to start moving, and we had a couple of leaders kind of taking the helm, that would be like, okay, cool. But we don't have that. And we also don't have anything like breaking down. We don't have anything leading the way on an immediate fall that's happening either. The market has just been range bound right in here for 20 days for the total altcoin market cap. And Bitcoin has been range bound in here for 25 days. So the question comes, can we be doing something like this right in here for Bitcoin? And does that tie into anything that we've talked about over these past couple of weeks? And well, if you caught my video last Friday, we talked about exactly that for XRP and comparing that to the rest of the market, and how in this phase of the market, we've seen precisely that there was this huge accumulation that took place for XRP right down here in the bottom area of this after this huge knockback. And that happened to come in as XRP whacked into its all-time high, which is what we just saw happen for Litecoin, Monero, 0x, and also seeing the total market cap also whack right into the top of the 4.236 extension based on the rally prior to capitulating back in 2018, which is what we saw happen with Litecoin back in 2018 and XRP, that based on the rally prior to capitulating in the previous bull market, the 2014 capitulation that happened back in here, Litecoin whacked into there, went down, then went sideways, and then eventually had its big blow off top ending, that we're having that moment happen over here in the cryptocurrency market as a whole. And that for time periods like this, after whacking into that all-time high and pulling back, there can just be this brutal consolidation taking place down here at the lows. And that we've been through these moments before, and that until something happens, and so long as this price action is boring, we have to kind of go with what have we seen before. And this is something I have seen before. We have references to what happens when cryptos do slam into their all-time highs and have big pullbacks before they go on to break through their all-time highs, and that this consolidation at the bottom can last for quite a while. And that while we have a ton of references for this style move for the total altcoin market cap to pull back up into its retracement level, we need to start seeing some type of leader. Right now, we don't have any altcoin leaders. Bitcoin's obviously not leading. That is telling us that we're having a big move to the upside or a big move to the downside. Obviously, there's red on the board in a range. Half the days are red, half the days are green. And we've been in one for over 20 days. So the main message I'm trying to portray for myself right in here is that I'm just having to be incredibly patient right now and wait it out. And for those who are probably like, it's the same thing every day, and it's because we're stuck in a range every day. But we've been through these things before, and we've been through ones that are far worse than what we've seen so far. We have gone through time periods of 90 days of being stuck in these kinds of ranges before. It's not fun to go through them, but eventually time passes and we get out of them. And that even the last time we had the big major ABC correction with the B leg retracing to the 702 Fibonacci retracement level, the recovery was brutal as well. But we all know what happened afterwards. And that during that exact same time period of that correction for Bitcoin back in October of last year, September and October, we saw this exact same type of bottoming process happen for some of the altcoins in the altcoin market during that time period, right after the ABC correction. And when we look at Bitcoin's correction and recovery during that time period, it wasn't exactly sexy at all. But we all know it ended up recovering. And well, this one isn't that sexy either, but we are at the exact same levels that we've talked about, all the different things that we've talked about, inverse structures, that this is a normal pullback before it goes to set a new high. It's also the exact same level where Tesla accumulated. Look at the wicks, look how long this price action is able to stay down in here. When it gets back into Tesla's accumulation zone, it's not able to stay there very long. And while not pretty, not beautiful, definitely something we've seen before. And maybe we'll just get lucky and see that this total altcoin market cap does what this structure typically does. And the next move up is the move right into the retracement level, getting up to 1.15 to 1.25 trillion. And that's really where I'm leaning towards. I'm leaning towards looking more at this altcoin market cap and saying, this thing says we go up to here. But to keep my expectations in a place where I can accept if it doesn't happen immediately, I say, what have we seen in accumulations before major move ups when we see accumulations that look just like this? And there you have it. Sometimes they can be brutal, sometimes they can last quite a while. But in the end, like I always say, this too shall pass. But all right, guys, that's it. That's going to wrap it up for this one. I wanted to show you guys that this long-term consolidation that's happening down here on the lower end of the range is just, trying to find references on where we've seen that. And over the last week or two, I've been trying to really kind of point to all the different places where we have seen that happen and what occurred after that. So I just sit there patiently waiting for something to completely change in the market. I don't see, fortunately, right, I'm not seeing things that are being like, hey, this thing needs to break. I mean, it'd be so weird to have this big, huge ABC correction and then we just keep crashing. It would just be odd. I think all the things really point to we're accumulating right now. There are big boys accumulating right now, preparing for the next big wave up. And I think that really shows us that over there on that total market cap slapping into that 4.236. There's one more push. And with all those other altcoins hitting those all-time highs and just watching all this accumulation and consolidation happening down near the bottom of the ABC correction, I think it's really optimistic. Thing is, we all just have to be kind of patient at this point. So that's where I'm at. I hope that you guys are doing okay out there. Again, thank you so much for watching my channel. If you'd like, you could check out my website at bcbacker.com. It's my course where I deep dive into the previous Bitcoin bull runs and the different altcoin seasons that we've had, showing where they've occurred within the charts. I talk about all of my different exit plans. I talk about percentages of mathematics. I talk about how to set up your own charts in TradingView and in CoinTrader Pro, how to use the tools and indicators in there, and how you can set all that up and start reading charts on your own. I do include updates in here. Most recent one was May 31st. We'll have another one coming in there. I guess we're about halfway through the month at this point. Another one coming up pretty soon. But you could check all this out over here on bcbacker.com. You can follow me over here on Twitter at bcbacker. And I want to thank you guys so much for watching my channel. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you could be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.